How's going, everyone? I'm going to show you an extension I made to create uh, an scrollable list, something like this. Okay, so you can scroll the list with the slider or with the up arrow or down arrow or the list itself. It doesn't have any animation or twin. It's pretty simple, just down or up. And here we have one icon, one sprite for the button itself, and two text objects, one for the item title and another for the item description if we need those items. So I'm going to show you step by step as I always do. Here is the extension events. I have this condition is pinned. Okay, so this is a copy of another extension. I think is called sticker. This one. So what I did is to open the extension and I copy and paste and rename these events and the behavior events too. So it's pretty much fully compatible one with other. Here is named pin2 and these events are pretty much the same of the sticker, but I wanted to make this list scroll extension to be not dependent of other extensions. So to make that, I have to copy all of this here. As I said, everything is renamed here. Behavior name, everything is renamed, so there is no conflict between the list scroll extension and the other. And this one too. This is the mosque, I think. Mosque. I don't really know. Yeah, object masking. It's pretty much the same. I get the events from here, and I think only this one, only this function, this action, because we really don't need to unmask anything in our list. Here we really doesn't need anything to be unmasked, so I just copy this action, the mask action, here, and I rename everything to object mask. I don't know, here is mask object. I really made a backward naming of everything here, so there is no conflict between my extension and others. Okay, that being said, let's check this. When we begin the scene, we set some variables. This is for the slider button to get the scroll speed, which is between 0 and 1. Let me add here some log. I don't. Yeah, I have debug here. So this is going to be scroll radio. And I think I named this underscore list scroll radio underscore. So with this variable we store the value of this, and it's not showing at all. Maybe it's the naming. I have to check it out. When we move this is 0 and this is 1. Let me check what I'm doing wrong. Change the text of debug, and this is debug. Yeah. So scroll radio variable string list scroll. And this is a scene, and this yeah, something was different. So you see, when I reach this, I can since this slider sprite has a draggable behavior, so I keep dragging the mouse, and that's because the numbers change. But really I limit the position, the Y position of the slider to be the same as the slider bar top and bottom, and that's why I can keep dragging, but the sprite doesn't move at all when it reach the top of the or bottom of the slider bar. And the list is synchronized with that sprite. As you can see, if I move the list, the slider moves too. That is the reason of this variable. The scroll content offset is just to calculate the offset from the top. Let me, if we move this, I think is 256, I think. Yeah. So when we move the slider button, we move from here to here. Let me zoom this. We move from here, which is 0, to here, which is the offset. So we calculate that offset to apply in which position we need to move the list. Okay. Later is the slider. The slider percentage, I think I removed that. Let me check this. Yeah, I removed this because let me explain what this do. Suppose we have here the 256 bar, no? So our list initially is 80. I don't know, 81, 8, whatever. So this list is going to increase his size when we add some item. Let me put this in the UI. So we have 1, 2, 3, infinite. Okay, so we can calculate the height of let me, and this is not correct. This is the slide. This is an old one, and I think I can delete, but not now, later. This is patch 9 or 9 patch, whatever, sprite. Okay, so sorry. So this is 32 by 32, and we have to take into account these ones: 1, 2, 3, 4 pixels. Okay, so since this is a 9 patch or whatever, we can resize the sprite, and he is not going to lose or pixel anything, because we are saying keep these 4, 4, 4 and 4 pixels. So when we resize this object, those 4 pixels are always applied from here to here, from here to here, and from bottom to top. Okay, so this way we can have a variable slider bar, not just a square. So with this slider percentage variable, we calculate the size of the list, this list, the size of the mask, and we apply that difference to the slider size. Let me show you. If I uncomment, let me put this maybe 64. If I uncomment this, or maybe enable, not uncomment, I enable this, so the list scroller sprite, this little one, is going to calculate its percentage and store the value here, okay, divided by 100, and taking into account the list scroll bar height. I know this is pretty much, but this on 256 is equal to 100%. 100% of this one. Okay, so if the list is small, this slider is going to be small. Let's just play and you will see. As you can see, right now I think I have 10 items, so the percentage is basically 50% of the slider. If we add to this list, let me add 40, I don't know, a lot of items. You see, the slider is smaller. If we have 2 items, the slider is bigger, but always less or equal 50% of the scroll bar, because we check the top, which is here, and we check the bottom of the list, which is here. Since this is hidden, let me check if we can unhide the list here. So you can see exactly what's happening there. You see, the list always is going to, the blue sprite, to be clear, the blue sprite is the list. So here at the top and here at the bottom is the other sprite, this one, this, which is the mask of the list. So the list itself, when we run for the very first time, if we have less items, let me duplicate this. If we have less items and we don't pass the list, it's going to be the exactly, this is going to be exactly 2 times the mask. Okay, multiply this by 2. We take the mask height here, in this case is 320, and we multiply this by 2, so this is going to be 640. Okay, and that's why the slider is 50%, because is the 50% of the mask size divided by 100, so we can get the percentage here. As you can see here, the first item is empty, and this is 1, and if I add another, here's, let's see, 4. This is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is not magic. This is happening because I have some logic here, and each one of the icons, let me set this back to 64, and the icon, list, scroll icon have some animations here, and this is not necessary, but suppose you want to put here the potion, chicken, sword, a shield, everything, whatever you want to place here is going to be the icon, and here you can add, for instance, sword of what the fuck. So you can use this name even if you wanted to put that name in here, for instance. As you can see here is every event which involves the 4 objects of this list: the title, description, the icon, and the button itself. Is everything separated into sub-events. So if you really don't need this one, for instance, you don't want to have an icon, but just disable, and it's okay. I have to add conditions here into the extension itself, because this is monstrous. I think I have 70 or 16 parameters. This is not good at all. But since the extension works just like that, as it is, I didn't split the parameters into other actions. For instance, we can split the mask thing, which is happening here, here. So this really can be in another action. We just copy this, create an action, we call this mask me or something, and we paste the mask and pass all these parameters here. So later you can call the init, and after the init call the mask thing, and this way you have 1, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 items less here. You practically remove this, and every object related to the button, the button itself, the icon, and the title and description. But I really don't care if here I have 40 parameters. If it works, I don't really care. And it's pretty easy to create this. I mean, it's one line, one event. Sorry, this can be undone. Okay, it's one line. Let me show you here. This is not a part of the extension, that's why is background is in gray, and this is the extension itself. You see here are all the parameters and the behaviors needed. So with one line you can create your list. Okay. Let me show you. Well, here is the step. Okay, so when we begin the scene, we hide the list because we don't want this blue one to be visible. And we start to set up different variables. For instance, we store in a variable the scroll the X position of the scroll. I think this is not really using I'm not using this start. In the first time I wanted to store the X position, so when the list is being dragged, only can be dragged vertically. So but let me check how I manage this. Let's scroll area. Okay, the very first time, as you can see here, we set list scroll position, and we set this position equal to the mask position. Okay, the bounding box left and the bounding box top. So when the scene starts, even if I put this list, I don't know, here, let me uncomment. Disable this so it's visible. Okay, so the list scroll area is here, but when I start, it plays exactly in the same position of the mask. Okay, so this is happening because of this. We changed that position. And save the X in this variable equals to the scroll mask. So later when I scroll the area here, this is for the slider and this is for the scroller. When the scroll area is being dragged, I just apply to the Y, but there here, yeah, that variable is not using anymore because here I'm setting always, since this is running always, the X position of the list equals to the mask, so that start this variable is not using at all, I think. Let me check. Boom. 3 results, one there, one here. I'm not oh, I call this variable same for the 2 objects. One is for the scroll slider and one is for the scroll area. So this is for the slider and this is for the area. Yeah, it's not using at all. Let me add a sub event, place this here, disable, and check if this works correctly, and works correctly. And here 2, and here 2, so that variable can be removed absolutely. And the same for the slider. I don't really know if the slider position is limited by the variable, or yeah, in this case we are using this variable of the list scroll slider object to limit the X. Let me show you this one. If I don't use that limit, when I come here and start dragging, as you can see, the X of the slider can be dragged, so it's not limited at all. The top and the bottom are limited, okay, but not the X. So with these events, what I'm saying to GDevelop is set the X position of list scroll slider to this initial variable, which is saved here. I think is here, default positions, or where I save here, create and use at the same time. I mean, I can create that variable here at the beginning of the scene, but it's the same thing to create at the beginning of the scene or dynamically here. Okay. Well, this is only math, purely math, to calculate the scroll slider position. We here assign the scroll ratio and the offset. All this shit I took from Construct 2 example. I made a lot of examples in the past, and I don't know where I have that. Here somewhere. I think is this. I have, as you can see, I have a lot of examples. This, I think, is this? Oh, no, it's not this. Sorry. is the doctor. I don't know. Anyway, uh, all this math comes from magic, not from me. I'm not so good. Uh, so here here we checked if the height of our scroll, the blue one, is greater than the mask. So if is this true, we scroll the slider or the scroll area itself, we change the position, and this, if it's small, then we set simply to the top of the scroll mask. These are for buttons. The same, if we touch the up button, we change the slider position. So if we are at the top and we touch the up, it's not going to move. But if we are at the top with the slider and we touch the down, is moved because of these calculations. This is the scroll slider. This is empty. I don't know why. Goodbye. Default position to the variables, and this last one. Okay, this is to limit the slider button. So we check if the slider bounding box top is less than the scroll bar, which is this gray one here, this, the background. So we check if this top, this part of the slider, is greater than this, the slider background bar, and at the moment is greater, we set the position of this sprite to be equal the background position, and the same for the bottom part. For the bottom part, we check if this lower part of the slider is greater than this one, and if it's true, we set the slider position to that point, to that position of the scroll bar background. And I think it's pretty much everything explained here. We set the scroll slider position to the scroll bar top or to the scroll bar here, the bounding of the scroll bar bottom, and we do the same for the list area, because we can move in both ways. We can move the list itself, dragging it, or we can move it with the slider. So at the moment the slider is at the top, the list is at the top too. At the moment the slider is at the bottom, the list is at the bottom too. Let me add some more items so we can see this logically. Boom, this is the last one. And as you can see, just one big full of parameters but is pretty much easy to understand. We need all of this one, this one. I think this not, because originally the slider was a sprite, but look what happened when we try to set the slider percentage. This looks like shit, so I convert that sprite to a patch 9, so when we set the percentage it doesn't deform at all. It always keep the offset here, these margins we set here. So this really can be removed, but I don't want to delete this now, because I have the extension. Okay, so I have the extension here, but if I disable the extension and enable these ones, is the same events with the same sprites, with the same everything, but not as an extension. So it works the same, but it's not an extension. So in the example, I'm going to let those events here, because if someone want to create a list like this but don't want to use an extension, oh okay, it's disabled. Where is it? Here. If someone want to create a list, just the UI part of the list, this can be done without the extension itself, with all of these events, here, and the logic part is separated too. Watching other extension, I don't know if he's here. Scroll up list. No. I think I download that extension from anywhere, somewhere. No. Let me check here. scroll up the list. No. The downloads. Scroll. Fuck. I don't know where I have that. Let me open another GDevelop. I think the was Pandaco, I don't know how to say that, which open, and in my projects here, scroll label, soccer, scroll list, scroll, no, only I only have the scroll list. I don't know. Structure, storage. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I don't find this game distribution. I can't find it. In downloads, scroll. Here it is. I think it's the game itself. Okay, so here, this guy creates an scrollable list, totally better than mine, because this has icons, text, and the moves of the list is totally different. It's more natural than mine, and I think this is in English. Yeah, and you can even add more items from within the list. Here, add. You can add a lot. So I want to make something similar to this, but with less sprites or requirements. Okay, so this guy is almost a god for me in GDevelop. Just look what he's doing. I think I follow this guy. Profile, no. Let me this guy is God. He's making 3D to be real into GDevelop. It has a lot of examples, and look at that. This is GDevelop. I think it's 3.js or Pixie.js. I don't really know which kind of integration he's making, but I really love this work. What he's doing here is awesome. It's awesome. Look at that. Unbelievable. In GDevelop at